afternoon. It's Saturday, September 12th, and we start our chess show as we usually do at this time every Saturday. And let me introduce my guests right away. We have, first of all, a couple, a Grandmaster Mihail Marin, also known as Bob Marin from Romania.
Hello.
His beautiful wife, Maria. How are you today?
Well,
Glad-
doing fine.
Folks,
It's
glad
Saturday,
to see you.
it's live and it's fine. Okay, everything fine.
Fantastic. Then I'd like to introduce Grandmaster Suat Atalik. How are you
Hi.
today?
The same, pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. Excellent. And finally, our correspondence master from United States, Tampa, Florida, Michael Hoffer. Hello, how are you, Michael?
Great, Sasha, great, and very humbled to be invited on this show with you Olympiad experts. I wonder why I'm here today, but I'm grateful to be among my chess friends who are more family to me than my biological family. I love you guys. Thank you.
Well, first of all, before we will go into our discussion, I know we will have a lot of good things to say about Olympiads. Maybe not so good things to say. We'll see. We'll find out. We don't know yet. But before it's all started, I would like to share a screen and play something what I just got recently from Michael. And let me share the screen. Share. Okay, and now we will do. Okay, and now here we go. Am I sharing the screen now? Can you see it? Oh, yeah, technology. This
I love it, man. It's been that way all week. But this is live TV, and you gotta love it.
Yeah, that's all what it's all about. We're trying our best, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
You know, while you're doing that, the only thing that I can really share about Olympiads was the Baku Olympiad. My friend Alexander Lenderman was the coach of the U.S. Olympic team of Caruana Nakamura.
Heavyweight.
Yeah, and what was he going to do for those guys? He was going to get them coffee and water and food, and he ended up coaching the girls because they needed help. But one thing he did do was he introduced our contest, Sasha. He had Nakamura and Wesley So and all those guys listening to the Chess Stars broadcast every Saturday in Baku during the Olympiad, which was like really cool.
Oh, that's cool. By the way, you remember that Wesley So was playing on the opening against Alexandra Kostyanyuk. And and Gary Kasparov was doing commentaries, and also he was predicting the moves. He was right about 52% of the time, but anyway, that was quite amusing. And after that, he actually endorsed the site. Michael, that video that you sent me, can you share it and play it for us? Because for some reason I can't do it.
I'm trying to remember what I sent you. Let me.
Oh, you sent me on Yahoo.
Let me check my phone.
No, on Skype. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, and I can't open Skype while I'm on this broadcast because it'll kill my camera. I know that because I had a student right up to the minute here, and I could. That's why I'm late, because I had to kill the session with the student in order for the. I can't be on Skype and here at the same time, but I will look. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, thank you, Sasha. Yes, can I share it? Yes, I can. I believe so. Can I share screen? Yes, I can. Awesome. Dude, I can do this, baby. Yes, I can. All right, allow share. And let me pull this up. This is wonderful. Yeah, I love this. And this is particularly pertinent today. Oh, wow, it's not letting me share Firefox. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I will get the link and put it in the margin. You watched what the NFL did and all the objections about the national anthem. I thought they handled that very well Thursday night. And then they had a moment of silence for unity and the fans in Kansas City booed. I don't understand that. But this video that was made for the Baku Olympiad is excellent for world peace everywhere, in my opinion. And the link is, yeah, thank you, Sasha. This is a great idea if we can do it. So I'm now going to take the link and put it in the margin of the notes here. And a lot of our friends are in this video. It's like we know almost everybody in the video, and it makes me cry every time I watch it. It really does. Now, if I can just find out.
Technical wizard that you can do it all.
I'm trying, dude. I'm almost there. Oh, the link is in the column here. Now, if I can get it on sharing screens is another question. Share screens easiest with 2 monitors, and your browser has blocked your screen. So, your address bar to allow access to the reload page, dude. Okay, when I've got the link in the notes here, and if you can find a way to pop this thing up, this is very inspirational and happy for everyone. When the U.S. team reaches across the board and shakes hands, dude, I cry every time. I'm a sucker for this stuff. But chess is a great equalizer because size, speed, religion, color, none of that matters. Gender, it doesn't matter. So the Baku Olympiad was inspiring to me.
There was a very good joke when Black Lives Matter and White Lives Matter and so on. There was a picture of Stalin who says no life matters.
Yeah. Okay, this is great. Anybody who doesn't like this has got something wrong with them. Go ahead.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
No hell below us.
Above us only sky.
Imagine all the people living for today.
Imagine there's no countries.
Emil.
Yeah.
Chris.
Right.
Elizabeth.
You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Bravo.
I love the end.
And the world will be as one.
Here we go.
Beautiful. Okay, we can stop right here. Okay, so I wanted to show this movie. I don't know what you call it, a podcast or a clip. Yeah, clip. Clip? Okay, so now we have at least some imaginations about the sort of flavor of Olympia, different people, different countries, nationalities, everything as you said. And I would like to now start with a little bit of individual memories of each of us to Olympiads with Suat. Maybe you will tell us your experience with Olympiad. And,
I was playing
memories, maybe.
so far I was playing for 2 countries, Turkey and twice for Bosnia. And what I would say, like with Turkey in 1988 Thessaloniki, I had bronze medal on the top boards, and the first ever Grandmaster result achieved by a Turkish player. But I don't particularly remember well. What I would say, like in those years, they had the idea to make it in Greece, and especially in Thessaloniki. So they came up with 84 and 88 Olympics.
Yes.
But then they came short, when it was time to continue, they couldn't follow up. And this was still, in my opinion, very volcanic. And then with Bosnia, we played extremely well. Well, before I played for them in 1994, they were bronze medalists, I guess, or more maybe silver medalists, not even bronze, silver medalists.
Really?
Yeah, they were the team with Nikolic, Sokolov, Kroica, Dizdarevic. They had really good result. They were silver medalists, just like 1992 Manila Uzbek team with Neneshev, who is now Graf, and Loginov people. And we played over the top, so we played almost all the teams. And in the last round, Croatia had a winning position against late Radulski, and if you would have won, we would be very close, not the medalists, but we would be very close to the first places. Unfortunately, he lost, and with 1 point makes a lot of difference at that time. But
yes, that's right.
they didn't have this 2 for the win and 1 for the draw, this kind of soccer type of system. And well, I mean, the 9 Olympiad, and in one of them I was the team captain and 10 Olympics together, I mean, it was really interesting experience. Particularly 1986 in Dubai was very well organized, how many people spoke about it, not only me, but I don't know, it's just a team championship. In some days I will go to play the Serbian league, and we all played all these leagues, and Olympiad is not so much different for me than these team championships, and it has good parts. I was always avoiding the opening ceremonies like we have seen in the clip, and also the closing ceremony. But whenever I had a medal in this European Teams Championship or Olympiads or European clubs, club cups, you stand there and you start watching, singing Pates and stuff. Before it was Portish and Smyslov, there was some better quality, Time is changing.
Yeah, that's right. So do you remember time when Garry Kasparov, at one point, he was very critical of Olympiads, and he was saying that this is nothing but chess tourism, because there are like couple of thousand people are coming there with maybe a dozen of, not even a dozen, half dozen of teams have any real chances to become medal winners. So all the rest is just basically nothing but chess tourism. Well, how would you address that?
Well, okay, he has his own ideas, and also they are changing, they are evolving. But I would try to tell when I played, and he played also, our teams were about to play each other, and Predrag Nikolic didn't want to play with Kasparov. So I was supposed to play, so he told me like, well, I'm always losing with this guy, so maybe new blood, you play with him. But meanwhile, Kasparov didn't want to play with Predrag Nikolic. He says, like, I am black, this guy makes a lot of draws. At the end, me and Grishchuk, we played, and I knew it because at that time, Morozevich was very close with us, so both sides from Morozevich exchanged the team lists. But Garry, when he plays, and he was under the captainship of Naum Rashkovsky, who is a very close friend of mine. I was very happy to see his pictures from Panchenko and Kurnosov memorials now. Well, Garry was not behaving like he was a dirigeant, in the tourist Olympiad. He was in the center. He was very ambitious. He was checking every board, every result. It really depends on his involvement. But the idea of Olympiad, obviously, is just to bring nations together. So there were many political moments in Olympiads, and this is one of the oldest team competitions. And actually, thinking about the fact that it started around 1920s, and it went really regularly.
I
And
think
some of the
28.
Olympiads.
Probably 1928.
No,
think.
I believe earlier. The first
Earlier.
Olympiad
24?
24, I believe. Yes.
24 is not counted. 24 and 26 is not counted. It starts officially in 1927, the year of 1927. Yeah, but 1924, especially with the new establishment of FIDE. You know, now they found FIDE in 1924, and also
Actually, they found it
1936.
after the last round in 24.
Yes,
After-
so
There was no FIDE when the Olympiad.
yes, exactly. But this was one of the ideas, and it was in Paris. Yeah.
Yes,
That
yeah.
was-
The feed
that was right.
is Paris.
And
Yeah.
some of them, they were not counted, or I remember like it is today. I didn't play, but there was this 1976, two Olympiads at the same time, which is also a unique case in the history, and then, some 1966, very memorable for people who played in Cuba at that time, and then, of course, they received physically the boards, the wooden boards, Castros. And there is always something. I don't especially agree with Gary what he wants to say, but Olympiad is a good team tournament. It should be there.
Yeah.
Then came European Teams Championship. Sometimes they could organize it. Then came, the World Teams Championship, which is relatively a new tournament.
Yeah, but
I
there are
believe.
only 10 teams.
And some years they could do, some years they couldn't do. We got Balkaniads. We played a lot of Balkaniads. That was also something, well, if it is for tourism, let Gary charge them, with whatever he could do. But it is there.
Well, I would call it chess tourism economic class. Mihail, tell me, is Romania playing in Balkan chess tournaments?
Oh, okay. I played a lot of Balkaniads, of course, but I don't know now. I think there are no Balkaniads at all. But if I'm allowed to say a few words as answer to what you asked earlier. So first of all, about Kasparov. Well, first of all, okay, he played these tourist Olympiads, but he took it very seriously because when the last time was when Russia won the Olympiad.
It was with Kasparov.
It was in bled with Kasparov on the first board.
I wasn't the
and after that, they only rarely took a medal, maybe twice, or I don't remember, but only rarely. So, and this tourist thing, it's not really like this because, you have this elite tournament. You have 10 or 12 or 20 players who are just playing between each other, and basically they don't lose rating. Okay, they have some variations, and nobody gets in, or only rarely somebody gets in. Okay, at the Olympiad, you have to play with normal grandmasters from all over the world, and some of them are not so bad. Okay, Kasparov always performed very well, I believe. Okay, Kasparov confirmed that he's he's Kasparov. But if you look, there are many top players who you understand that if they had to play more frequently with just some mortal guys, even like me and Suat, for instance, I mean, they would have some problems maintaining the rating. So I think there is more than tourism. There is some sort of democratic.
Let's properly qualify what Kasparov said. He didn't say that it's a tourism Olympiad for everything, for everybody. It was a tourist Olympiad for many teams who are in the last 100 places, 150 perhaps places, where they're coming there. Well, you've seen this online Olympiad we just finished recently. If you saw first few days when there were like teams from Africa, Asia, and you would see these games, you know what I'm talking about. At least there was no tourism because they were playing online. But if you think about paying thousands of dollars to bring these people to a place and put them in hotels and feed them and so on for the games which are on the level of probably less than 1,000 points. I would
Yes,
be
but you understand how many people, chess people, get happy because of these Olympiads. I mean, okay, first of all, let's talk about me. For me, the Olympiads,
Yes.
okay, I played 12 times. I mean, okay, the Olympiads are really
That's not bad.
some thrilling events. Okay, let's now take Seychelles. I remember, do you know a team like Seychelles, how many people can make happy? I remember there were some girls at the breakfast. They were standing, going to take some juice and some little bite because okay, they had to maintain the. Then they would walk back. I mean, can you understand how many people get mad, get badly happy out of this? No,
What
no.
does it have to do with chess? Anything to do with chess? This
They were playing chess eventually, but no.
Mihail, you were playing another Olympiad. I never remember Seychelles people and all these girls. And but there was something like Bermuda party, and in the dark, you might have seen them. Yeah.
No, but basically, you know, at least I remember the first Olympiads I played in '88 when I got a medal individual, and also in '90 in Novi Sad. There are these really big playing halls, and I mean, okay, the conditions, playing conditions were really good. I mean, good air and the light and the space and everything, and you could see, okay, for me, for instance, it was so interesting to see teams like, okay, Soviet Union, of course, England, whatever, so many, okay, the States. Well, we played against Soviet Union, and I was playing on board 3, and on board 1 we had Kasparov, Georgiou against Kasparov. And I remember that the whole morning, Georgiou was analyzing against the Grünfeld how he could draw by force in the Grünfeld, because he wouldn't like to become a globetrotter. I mean, to be published in all the magazines. And then Kasparov plays the King's Indian. Okay, how do you force a draw in the King's Indian? And okay, it was an interesting game. And then Kasparov was really short of time. He had 3 minutes left, and Georgiou had 15 minutes. But I saw them, you know, Kasparov was like this, like a tiger. I was thinking that next he would just jump and strangle Georgiou physically. And Georgiou, he was sitting like this, and of course he became a globetrotter because Kasparov mated him. So I mean, okay, you understand that these are images. I never played Kasparov, but I played next to him in this match. And
who was that?
88 Thessaloniki.
No. Whom did you play with?
I played with Beliavsky. I overdid it, and I eventually.
Strong hand. Yeah.
Yes. No, of course the Soviets were. Karpov didn't play now against us, I believe. Yusupov was on board. Maybe he played. I don't remember. Okay, not so important. No, Yusupov was board 2, and Ivanchuk was board 4. Okay, quite a team.
Very strong.
But okay, there are some other people. Let's say Virgin Islands or Seychelles or whatever. Okay, of course they cannot get so close to Kasparov, but maybe they can get close to a grandmaster like Suat or like me, and they may even play against us. You understand that the thrill is probably the same as mine when I saw Kasparov. I mean, I think it's really a happy event somehow. It's like a pyramid, and at all levels it must be the same.
So there is
Maybe
a fight on every level, right?
Maybe the guys from Seychelles, they were charmed by the Russian girls. I don't know. No, but that time, okay, it was basically.
But rating does matter.
Yeah.
That caused the rating issue.
Yes, but okay, in those times, our national championship, about what Suat said, that he doesn't see a difference. Our national team championship was played on 10 boards. I mean, men, women,
Yeah.
So when you play such a match, of course, it's interesting. It's also like a festival. Everybody is there from Romania, but it's 10 boards. You cannot really follow the match. In the Olympiad, you play on 4 boards. You can follow, and you leave the intensity of your emotions are multiplied by 4, because you follow your game, but you follow the other games. So at least this is how I feel the Olympiads. And okay, well, in those days, of course, we had 14 rounds, and a few times I had only one day off, so I played 13 games. Many players nowadays, there was this Muhammad Ali before his match with Foreman. He said, okay, but Foreman wins in 2 rounds, 3 rounds. He never heard round 7, round 12. Actually, he beat him in round 7 or something like that, knocked him out. So the same now. What does it mean, round 13? Okay, I played round 17, and some other players played round 20, 25, or something. So now I believe they play only 11 rounds, yes?
Yeah.
In the Olympiad.
First, it was diminished to 14, 13, and then and before us they had the preliminaries.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
About 20 rounds. About 20 rounds, of course, yes.
Speaking
That's a funny
of,
Yeah,
Olympic
go ahead.
teams, I still remember 1974 Soviet team. Nobody lost a single game in any board,
Mhm.
including
It was
the
in-
preliminaries.
It was in Nizza.
So this
In
meant
Nice, in France.
some 100 games, yes, you mean?
Yeah,
Close to
just
100
nobody.
games.
They just had some draws, and it was a real team. Speaking of, and for everyone, it really represents something. I mean, it's really, online Olympiad. Well, it was a mockery of what was happening. Mihai is very right. For instance, at the opening round of Calvi Olympiad, the one before or after Bled, I always confuse them. We played.
What was first? It was 94 was Bled, or how was it?
No,
I always
Moscow.
confuse.
94 was Moscow.
No. 2000.
2004. 2004.
Well, yeah, 2004 one was
Palma,
one of
Palma de
them,
Mallorca.
2006 the other.
Okay. Mhm.
2006 in Torino, in Italy.
No, sorry, 2004 and 2002. 2002 was in
Bled.
Bled, then it was Calvi. So
Yes. Okay.
I came to play the first round, and I was playing top board. I don't know, either Predrag was not playing or Ivan. We got 3 people, for around, and I play with this guy Müller from Namibia, and he was always making gold medals in Olympiads. But somehow now it is the Kasparov side of the story. I come to the game. I am black. Okay, there is this guy. He's a German, the only German guy in Namibian team. Being a German colony before, but he is he wants to take pictures, and it was very strange for me. There is this guy with the camera, before the game we shake hands. He is very friendly. I am not very friendly during the game or before the game. So he has this camera. He looks at me. I look at him. Then he jumps. He starts taking pictures. Actually, okay, he was not such a bad player, but he was a 2200 player. So I'm playing around the game. I just stood up, and we were in a very confined place. Now I see the ever popular Roses and Armenkov. Now it's really interesting because Armenkov plays for Palestine, and Roses plays for Bangladesh, and I play for Bosnia. Mine is still acceptable. So Igor, came and tried to say something. I just don't remember. But then I looked at Armenkov and I said, you and Palestine, what are you doing there? You said, oh, it's Palestine, started to pull out some political speech. And I say, yeah, aren't you afraid of Mossad? He just disagreed, things more.
Maybe it was a joint deal, and he also played in the backgammon Palestinian team.
Well, speaking of him, he's a great gamer. I remember one Balkaniad, 1981, Athens. We just came to play, and I just started to develop as a player, but obviously just junior boards. Me, Vasilescu, whatever, Barbulescu, and a couple of other people, Shulava, Drashko. But there is the, main team's competition, and the Bulgarians, they came. I just remember they went out of the bus. There is a guy missing, Armenkov. He just dropped out of the way to play some bridge tournament this time. Mm-hmm. After 2 rounds, I don't know, he came, and it was even communistic times, in Bulgaria, and people were upset. There were all this, Bulgarian KGB people, but Ermenkov is a special case. So he played for Palestine only once, but I really made him scared. You know, he's an old friend of mine. Still, I see him sometimes. I even played with him relatively recently. But okay, there is something in Olympiads. I mean, there is a spirit in Olympiads.
There is a spirit, and by the way, Olympiad is such a good thing that remember when it started in the 20s, and it was paused when Second World War. There were no Olympiads, of course, and then it's held like every 2 years, and it's a it's so good that in 1976 they decided to have 2 Olympiads instead of 1. So if it's so good, why not to have 2? Instead of just 1 Olympiad? It's way more interesting. I remember 76 Olympiad very well because it was first time that Nava ever played for a Canadian team, and so we went there. It was very, very well organized in Israel on Haifa in Dan Carmel hotel, right on top of the hill. And it's 5 stars and fantastic food and so on. Very good security. By the way, United States took the gold medals.
They won it in front of Holland, in front of Netherlands. Yeah, they just it was a race for the first.
Yeah, that's right. Netherlands had very good team, and they had actually short. Genus Song was playing at that time.
Timman, Donner, full squad, Ray.
Yes, it was a
very strong. No, it was really well organized.
Can we mention
very well organized Olympiad?
Can we mention
Mike, you have some memories about the
Olympiad? Well, I was just thinking, totally apart what I was going to say. We definitely should mention that the Olympiad in Buenos Aires actually saved some lives, because a lot of guys got out of Germany before bad things were happening. And it was difficult.
I am not so sure if it happened in this way, because recently when in this S24, when I was watching this, it's a little bit difficult to say so, because they went to play the Olympiad, and just like in many cases, there was a danger, for the Cold War to start.
Yeah.
But then the Olympiad started, and they were there, and there were a lot of discussions. The German team led by Eliskazes, many teams refused to play against. But the interesting thing, I was kind of like friendly with Najdorf because he was friendly with everyone around the year of 93. And when somebody said Najdorf escaped the war, I mean, he didn't escape the war. He just stayed there when the war was there. Because if you really escape from your country because of whatever will happen, you take your family with. So his family died in the Warsaw ghetto, as you know, and he got married again, and he made money and stuff. Now, the very interesting thing, Alekin, he really rushed back, and he really rushed back to his American Jewish wife, Grace Wistart.
Wow.
And he just came, and their chateau was used as, headquarters. Him and Tartakover were really, they were going back, both of them, and they were really very brave. Many people, they decided to stay Eliskazes, Najdorf, basically the other guy, Pelikan, where this opening in the Sicilian, the branch.
The Argentinian government offered some facilities to all those who wanted to stay. But for Alekin it was very risky, because actually he very openly spoke against, because the war started the day that the final tournament started, after the groups. And he very openly spoke against Hitler and everything. And he was the one saying that France would not play against Germany. And
apparently it's true.
And also not against Czechoslovakia, or Czechia, which was the Bohemian Protectorate or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There were 6 matches. And then he came back, and then he was like a sanitary guy under de Gaulle. Tartakover also fought. But the difference was that when de Gaulle resigned, when France resigned, Tartakover could run to England and join the French forces in England, and Alekhine could not. So history had him as they caught him, and history has him as a collaborator, as an AZ, as whatever. And
so he wrote some certain thing for the magazine with the beautiful name of Pariser Schachzeitung. But it's not very clear,
It's not clear that he wrote them. It's not so clear that he wrote them.
It's not very clear.
It's not. It's still debatable. But what's interesting is you mentioned, both of you mentioned Tartakover. But Tartakover, his story is very interesting. In the First World War, he was fighting on the German-Austrian side.
Yes.
Right? And in the Second World War, he was fighting against Germans.
Then he came back to his senses, No, I mean, he was an interesting guy. I mean, our friend Kevin Spraggett is crazy for him. And okay, he was not only a good player, but he had the ability to write, to fight, to gamble. He was a compulsive gambler. And he lived quite a lot.
No, because I never believed that Alekhine just died like this. And actually, I read that there is some evidence that he was killed. Do you know by whom?
Wow.
But some guys from the French resistance.
Yeah, or NKVD, one of them. Either La Resistance, either NKVD.
Apparently, I read there is some evidence that it could be, So I never bought this, that he like this. So I mean, okay, many consider him
for the audience, Bob, he allegedly choked on a piece of meat during breakfast.
Yes, but he also had a bullet in his chest.
Right. Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
No, they falsified. They faked the doctor faked the whatever.
Actually, he had to rewrite it.
No, he was shot on.
Oh my God!
Then brought to his room, and
Michael, see, Alekhine, he ate meat every day, and he didn't die. But from the bullet, he did die.
There was a struggle. I don't know if the bullet exactly. I mean, it could be, but there was a struggle in the corridor, and then he was brought into the room because you still remember this picture. Everything was. And if all of a sudden during this show I collapse, and then you don't understand, somebody will shoot me, behind. Now it looks like I am sitting very normal, and so was Alekhine. He had his table with food and everything. Well, okay, you are getting choked. You go forward, you go to some side. I happened to play Adorian, and in Szeged, it was a tournament organized by Leko. Everything was very funny, like he was the organizer of the tournament. God. He was the youngest of us. He didn't play. He really organized the tournament, and he's from Szeged. So when I was approaching the hotel with my luggage, Andras comes from somewhere. He has his own luggage, and he says, like, I offer you a draw. And I say no. He's upset, sort of. And then during the tournament, he offered some more draws before the game. And then during the game, he collapsed. He really collapsed. But we hit the last table. So he kind of like hit the wall and he went under the table. It was some sort of theater.
And his last words were "black is okay."
No, he didn't say black. I was black, by the way. And okay, I just adjusted the board. I am thinking it is my time. Then Ripley came, and they didn't like each other very much, but he sees Andras is there, he looks at me, I look at Ripley. I'm still pondering about my move. They bring all this ambulance, whatever. Andras comes back, and he offers a draw. I say, like, come on, a couple of minutes ago, they give you oxygen, And okay, we continued to play, but the reality, I always think about the same stuff, like you really faint during a game, like he was standing, you collapse right on the board, you don't go towards the wall, and then you don't crawl under the table. Alekhine's story was in Estoril, it was very clear that his, death, the cause for his death was quite unnatural.
Yes,
it has nothing to do with
you don't just sit and say, okay, that was it, okay, I will die. No, you don't
This
do
is
that.
not like your girls from Olympic breakfast tables, you know. They take something, they collapse with joy.
I think that Alokhin was not very skillful diplomat. And unfortunately, at the time of his death, he was so lonely. Nobody needed him. He was not in contact with anybody. And a lot of countries sort of, they were happier with Alokhin being dead than alive. Because if it's dead, okay, you know, like Stalin used to say, there is a man, there is a problem. There is no man, there is no problem. So it seems to me that there was a situation where Russians didn't need him because they wanted Botvinnik to become a world champion. So he would have to play Alokhin. So they would have to invite Alokhin to Soviet Union. And in Soviet Union, he was treated as enemy. And it would be very difficult to reconcile. Here is an enemy, and then you want to invite him in, or so on. It was very political stuff. And although Stalin himself, he was not so much against Alokhin, because even when Alokhin sent in, I think, 1936, he sent a
35.
telegram. In which one?
1935, during the match with Oive, he sent one.
35, that could be truth. So I think 35, because we were talking about 18 years of Russian Revolution. Anyway, yeah.
1917 and 1835, yeah. That's
You're right.
He really surprisingly, you know, he made a surprise for everyone. He sent this telegram.
So he sent a telegram, and the telegram was intercepted by Krylenko. What's happened is that the chess journal 64 and Sovietsky sport paper, before they would publish something political, they had to get okay in higher echelon. So Krylenko was in charge of all chess in Soviet Union. So they showed it to Krylenko. But Krylenko, it was a little bit over even his head. So he wrote his statement and sent it to Stalin. And in his statement, he said that we've got the telegram from Alokhin, who is the enemy of Soviet people, and I recommend to publish it in newspapers, Pravda, Izvestia, and all that stuff, with saying that it's telegram from enemy of Soviet people, and so on. The reply from Stalin was, publish the letter without any statements. and 2 years later, Krylenko died in Soviet concentration camps.
No, but he was a avid chess player, and he was a prosecutor. Yeah, he was a very famous prosecutor. But the main point, after having beaten Capablanca, Alokhin really said, like, well, everything has an end, and I think the Bolshevik regime will have a similar fate. And then it was really very heavy for authorities like Kirilenko, and his brother denied him from the legacy in his family. His Alexei, really, I don't know. And speaking of his Prohorov part, his grandmother part, yeah, like he was from one of the richest families in the former Russia, and he was a true white Russian. And but it was always this fight with Alekhine, you know, because somehow also from the Russian community in France, a particular poet, you know, after he lost to Oive, he wrote a poem. I mean, he wrote a poem, and he read the poem to Alekhine's face. Like in the poem, he said, like, I have an old pot at home from Chinese mosaic, whatever. I always loved him. It was called Alekhine, but then he got destroyed in pieces. And Alekhine was really offended. I think he slapped the guy in the face, and he was thrown out of this community. He was a very brave. I mean, he was one of these three world champions, Alekhine, Botvinnik, and Fischer. They had their own ideas, no matter on which side of the road their ideas were falling. And they were not business-oriented. They were not actually political. Because many people forget, but when Botvinnik really went crazy to play his match with Alekin, he was reprimanded by Soviet authorities. He really tried to force to play this match. He couldn't understand why it was not happening. And, well, he was not a diplomat at all, in my opinion as well.
No, Botvinnik first, he lost all his political capital when he became a world champion, because apparently after the two rounds played in Hague, they moved to Moscow, and apparently, no, this is what Botvinnik wrote. Apparently, they asked him, there was some secret meeting. They asked him whether it would be not be okay to ensure the title in the way that Paul Petrovic and Vasily Vasilievich would lose against him. And he said, "What the heck is this? I'm on the first place. I will win anyway. They want to diminish my merits. I don't want to hear about it." And then he was so angry. He won the world title. And then he even didn't write to Stalin to thank him for the beautiful conditions he had as a. And then, okay, what happened next in '52? The first time they played the Olympiad, the Soviets, he was kicked out of the team, even though he was a world champion.
Yeah, it's very famous, and it was Kotov, arranged by Kotov and all the others, and he beat almost all of them in the next Soviet.
Yes.
Very famous.
I mean, he lost. Okay, earlier he had some support from Molotov, but after he became a world champion, I believe he was almost a persona non grata. I mean, okay.
Yeah, he was speaking his mind out. He was really
too much. Yeah. So
I think that something to do with the jealousy, because obviously he was world champion. Now the only thing, and he was remember he was a PhD. He was a scientist, and very few people had such privilege situation. And he was close to the top of the Communist Party, so he had a lot of privileges and so on. So there was a jealousy factor, and how they orchestrated it. They say that after he drew his match with Bronstein, and remember, the Bronstein was leading a point before last two games. So apparently, Botvinnik, well, he didn't prove that he is better player than Bronstein, but the score was even, 12-12, so he remained a world champion. So now they came up with a new theory that it's no longer Botvinnik is the strongest. He is among the equal. He is the first of equal. So all players are equal. So the Botvinnik, Bronstein, Keres, maybe
Keller was there. No,
so they're all equal players. So in some occasions, these people are in a better form and they're playing better than these people. Some people than these people in better form playing better than these people. So at this point, Botvinnik is not in his best form, and the match with Bronstein just proved it. How many people in the world could draw a match with Bronstein? You tell me. In 1951, very few people could draw Bronstein.
No, but it was a power show. I believe that Kotov was the guy who organized it, and Kotov and Bondarevsky, they had some real special backup.
Yeah, they have their own agenda, of course, yes.
And it was, I mean, it was really, when you read all these things, they had this meeting, he was there, it was very unpleasant for people like Keres and Sibistov. Actually, for whatever I understand, let's be frank, Sibistov was the worst guy among all of them and all this stuff. And Keres, he was just this, I don't know, he didn't like it in some way, but he was thrown to the first board. He had his miserable record on the first board. Never came such a Soviet first board, almost 50%. It was a power show by Kotov. Kotov is a very interesting person, you know
what Botvinnik writes actually. No, Kotov replaced him and only played 3 games out of the 20-something rounds. No, okay, but he was a securist. This KGB. No, okay, but Botvinnik writes like this: that he heard that Keres and Smysov, they claim that Botvinnik cannot play chess anymore. And then he met with during the training camp. He met with Smysov at the bathroom. They had some, and Smysov was brushing his teeth. And he asked Vasily Vasilievich, "Is it true that I cannot play chess anymore?" Vasily Vasilievich finished the process. He cleaned his mouth and he said, "Oh, I didn't know that everybody knows about that already. That it's common knowledge already." And Botvinnik says, "Well, at least one thing I can appreciate in Vasily Vasilievich, that he's honest." But yeah, okay. I know that later when Khrushchev came, Khrushchev was opening and everything, and Botvinnik wrote a material that yes, we should send all our best players in a Western tournament so that they can earn dollars, whatever currency. And they almost kicked him out of the party for such an article which they never published. No, I mean Botvinnik. You can say that he always believed, and he never hid what he did and what he wrote.
He was very straightforward. Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Maybe sometimes he did some bad things, maybe sometimes good things, but he would never hide it. In his autobiography, Achieving the Aim, Cât Stigenii Țelii, he writes everything very open, and some of the things, of course, are criticizable, but he admits he did that because he believes so.
No, definitely.
Okay, one question to Maria. Maria, are you following the Olympiads or ladies Olympiads sometimes?
I following just men's Olympiad because for me not interesting about the woman. Okay. Understand that?
But you know what? Women's games are much more resulting and aggressive than men's game. In men's games there are a lot of draws, as we know, on the top level. In the women's games, they are fighting until the kings are left on the board.
So much I don't know, nerves, so much emotional. I don't like many emotional. I like just chess without emotional. And for this part, men's chess is more interesting than women's chess.
And for Maria, it's not challenging to play against a girl because somehow she cannot mobilize herself. And actually, she told me a story. She had a sparring match as a capoeira fighter against a girl. And the girl, it was the match. Before the match, she said, "Please just don't kill me." So okay, how can you fight whatever is in capoeira or chess if it's like this? No, with a man, okay, you have a fight. You
can't do anything to a man.
Yeah, but you can intimidate men before the game. Do you think so?
Depends on the man.
Well, I remember just a few months ago, I was playing in a team tournament in Toronto, and there was a guy that I play quite often blitz, and maybe I'm a little bit better player, or I'm a better blitz player. I'm not so sure, but anyway, no, it was funny that when there is a time travel or so on, I was able to do illegal moves, and he didn't notice that, and I won quite a few games by playing illegal moves. For example, okay, there is a bishop from C1 goes to H6, but there is a pawn on F4. It doesn't matter. I still go to H6. I didn't see that move. Oh, okay. So he keeps playing. Wow. He's a funny guy. So anyway, and we had to play in. I think it was the last round of a team championship. There were four men's team. So we played on the second board. So you can imagine how strong is that team. Okay. So before the game, I was playing white pieces. So I tell him, okay, before the game, you have to know two things. Number one, never, ever offer me a draw in any position. I already declined draw. So no draw offers. Okay, I will not offer a draw. What is the second? The second is, I will not accept your resignation. You have to play until checkmate. So if you will resign, I'm not going to accept your resignation. You have to play until I will checkmate. Oh, he was in horror, and he was.
But this is dangerous. I mean, if your position is so bad, it's dangerous to play, or no?
Anyway, he was shocked, really, and he says, he couldn't even say anything, and he was. I noticed that his energy level became very low, and he was walking like that, and I crushed him in like 27 moves as the game was over. Checkmate was 27 moves. He wanted to resign a move before that, and I said, don't you remember what we agreed? He said, I didn't agree. I said, yes, you did. Otherwise,
Besides, it's a team competition. You made the whole team to agree, that nobody pushed him to resign.
No, actually, once I played in a Canadian chess championship. It was, I think, 2006 or even 2006, yes. And there was a players' meeting before the championship started, and I offered to everybody to play without draw offers. Just play the game, and whatever it is, no draw offers. And there was a meeting, and then they started to vote, and I lost my vote. I had very few people supported. I don't know, for some reason people like offered draws. I don't know. I think draw is the most terrible thing in chess, that there is a draw. And there is nothing could be done about it. So at least if you don't offer a draw, there's more potential that something interesting will happen.
Right.
Maybe not. Okay, you can do 3 times repetition anyway. So if you will make a draw, you'll make a draw. But if you don't offer a draw, that's a different proposition. I think Sophia rules were about that. Yeah. Have you ever played in Sophia
Our
rules?
friend Danailov came up with, yeah?
Yeah. I think I was there with Judith as a second when they introduced this rule in 2005, I believe. There was a super tournament in Sofia, 6 players go around, and I think that was the first tournament from there. But okay, now there is another. Okay, you can make a repetition, a perpetual check, or whatever. But for team events, there is also the disconnecting method.
Oh, God.
To get an equal match against Russia, and
Oh my God!
you just disconnect. Okay, no. Okay, gold medal.
And Sutovsky sings.
Yeah.
Actually, he was born in Baku. He sings from
Yes,
Baku.
he's originally from Baku. Yes, that's right. Yeah. There was a very interesting thing I remember about the Olympiad in Lucerne in 1982. There were a lot of interesting things. Lucerne is fantastic city, like every city in Switzerland, and they very well prepared for Olympiad. All stores you can walk, and they had fantastic display of chocolates and the torts and everything with the chess pieces. So you could see chess like all over the place. And if you remember, unfortunately, she passed away recently, Tanya Lemachko, from originally from Russia, but then she lived in Bulgaria. And then she
Married a Bulgarian guy, I believe. No, first.
Yes.
right. I think Yermenkov.
No.
No,
Not Ermenkov.
not Yermenkov.
No, Lemachko. No, he married Lemachko, I believe.
Ermenkov?
That's what I.
Lemachko. Lemachko was
Lemachko was her maiden name.
really.
I guess so. I'm not
It was
so
her
sure
maiden
though,
name,
but
yeah.
I'm sure she played at San Balcania. She was constantly chasing Victor Ciocâltea to dance. And, okay, Victor Ciocâltea was a funny guy, but he knew what a beautiful woman was, and Lemachko was a bit too much to be really beautiful.
But she was looking like a real, shut and put, man athlete. I remember Lemachko very well. I mean, well, she was actually this Canadian guy, Igor Ivanov.
Oh, that's exactly where it started, in Switzerland. In
Yes,
Lucerne.
exactly, because
They
he
fell in
carried
love.
Lemachko in his hands, and
But
I
do
don't
you-
know too many people who could do that. You know, he really had to carry this big woman in his hands when they were running away.
You know, there is a Russian saying, Maria, it goes like this. Не бывает некрасивых женщин, бывает мало водки.
Да, yes.
Exactly.
She told me, yes, I know it.
Exactly.
But Igor had
Lucky
one
woman,
too many.
No, in English it's like there is no case for unattractive women. It's just that there is not enough
Little bit of
vodka.
vodka.
Not enough vodka. Okay, so Igor,
Now, if you said some words of wisdom in Russian,
yeah.
now I come back to this India thing. I mean, at the online Olympiad, and okay, we have been discussing who is right, and actually in Russian they have a saying which can, okay, this doesn't work in English. Okay, if we translate it like it is, it doesn't matter who is right. It matters who is the lion. Because Lev is the lion in Russian, but it's also left or yes, from right and left.
On
So,
straightforward, yeah, the left.
Yes. So
Not right, straight.
неважно кто прав, важно
Важно,
кто
кто лев.
live. So obviously it was not important who was right. Okay, the Bengali lion. Okay, tiger was.
Remember that in Soviet Union, in its early days, there was an idea that, okay, so from now on, everybody is equal. I remember that because when things started with Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, White Lives Matter, so on. In Soviet Union, back in right after 1917, the idea was that everybody is equal and everybody owns everything. So there is no private property. Everything owned by everybody. So supposedly, even there was a funny thing that the idea of community, коммуна, было такое слово, community, that means all people live together. There are no men's, wives, and all that stuff. Everybody belongs to everybody. And yeah, there was basically an idea for communism that everybody is equal and everybody owes everything, right? So, but what still with some people who are not that advanced and they have some older ideas, and they will start quarreling with people who have modern ideas of communism. So how to solve this conflict? So the idea was to invent, in Russian, it's a Ministerstvo Pravdy. It's a Ministry of Truth. In Russian, Ministerstvo Pravdy. So that ministry would decide who is right, who is wrong, and so on. And you know why they didn't make that ministry? Because someone asked, who will check that ministry, whether they're doing the right things? And they couldn't figure out how to do it properly. And they never made this Ministry of Truth a reality. And then some people were, there were a lot of discussions about this communal thing, about like everybody belongs to everybody and everybody is equal. Maria, вы слышали об этом? Have you heard about these ideas?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so there was a funny, I saw Russian program occasionally, Первый канал, for channel number 1 in Russian. So they showed one woman, so she lives in, she told her story, some kind of a bizarre story that she was accused that she cheated on her husband with the man who cheated on her wife, and then some kind of, it's bizarre story, you know, like they usually have it on first channel. But the interesting thing is that all that happened in a, there's a thing in Russia called a коммунальная квартира, communal flat.
Flats, yeah,
The
like
little flat, it's a rather large flat with separate rooms, and all people live in as a families in separate rooms, but they have common kitchen, toilet.
kitchen, bathroom.
Yeah, that's right. So, so the
They,
same
they,
thing
even,
that,
they still live like this in Petersburg.
Yes.
There are many who live like this in Petersburg.
yes,
Actually,
still
it's,
in Moscow, it's probably not so obvious, but there still exist. But in Russian time, in Soviet time, most of people lived in the communal flats. So there is a one, Larisa Guzeva. Larisa Guzeva.
Diva,
She,
yes.
yeah, she's a very popular actress and so on. So she was listening to that story, and somebody asked her comments, and she said, "You know what? There is a certain charm in this situation when you actually can cheat without even going out of your apartment. You can do it right there. If when I was young, it would be a dream for me to live in communal flat. I would never change it for anything else." And she's very influential and very very well known. So people, of course, listening to her. So about Olympiad, I started talking about 1982, and we were distracted by Igor Ivanov and Tatiana Lemachka, and of course, don't forget how much vodka were drunk, and we spent a lot of time with there. And then she defected from Bulgarian team, and she actually stayed in Switzerland right after this Olympiad. So that was quite a story. Another famous defection was in Saloniki in 1988
yes,
when
yes.
Tanya Akhmelovskaya.
Malowski and Donaldson, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, she fell in love with John Donaldson, and she quit Russian team right before the final round. And Russian team was competing with Hungarians because
yes, the Polgar.
Polgar sisters already played. So she defected, and but it was 1988, and Soviet Union was slowly going downhill. So. I don't remember who was the captain of Russian team. He talked to me and he said, "Oh, okay, she fell in love, but that's okay. Sometimes people fall in love, but at least play the last round game and then fall in love. Well, why would you do it another way around? First fall in love, defected, didn't play last game, and Hungarian took the gold medal."
But there was also a sad story. I talk about the match Hungary Soviet Union. Okay, it was almost Polgar family against Georgia, Gruzia. But okay, there was Ildiko Madar, who was a reserve to
Yes.
the sisters, and her boyfriend Pereni, who was a very interesting player.
Oh, he died, right?
In a car crash.
Yes, he was traveling to Thessaloniki by car, and he died on the way. And then soon after that, they played against the Soviets, and somehow they chose to put her in the match, and she won against the Soviets. Actually, the other board made a draw. She won the match actually, maybe with black, maybe it was a Benoni, I don't remember. But yes,
very impressive.
Yeah. But it was I don't remember how many days, but it was like this. She didn't play.
There were these things, and I think Rigo, the organizer, was on the wheel, and he was a passenger. Perini was a passenger. He was a terrible attacking player, and he died on this crash. And Rigo is still alive. Nothing happened to the driver.
But he was traveling to Saloniki.
Yeah, to meet Ildiko. Yeah.
Yeah, and somehow they had the inspiration to put her against the Soviet Union, and she won. That was, that was very important.
They were very lucky with this decision.
Yes.
You remember there was a time when men's team had 6 players, 4 board players and 2.
For a long time, of course, yes.
Yeah, and women had 3 boards and 4 players. So 3 boards played.
One reserve.
That was the case in Salonic, yes.
Yes, but you see, later on they changed it. Now both teams are equal, 4 and 4, and one is. because in the old order, there were just too many men and very few women. So they decided to make it equal.
Seychelles. We need more fresh blood from the Seychelles Islands.
Really?
Yeah. But you know what? The most popular team in all Olympiads I remember is the Bermuda team, because they had Bermuda party on every
yes.
Olympiad. You remember?
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of rum, and people are coming and they staying music until 6 in the morning or so on. All those Bermuda parties were very, very popular on every Olympiad.
No, for a long while, Nick DeFermian was the captain of Bermuda team, and it was nice to see Nick had a part in organization. There was this FIDE guy, he's not anymore. I think he was the treasurer or something. A very suspicious character who was organizing many of them. I forgot his name. He was with FIDE for a long time, under Makropoulos management.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think we have to run away.
Yes.
Our friend.
I wanted actually to close our today's show,
okay.
and I feel that there are still too many things that we didn't say about the Olympiads.
Yes.
By the way, the 21st of September, it's a day of peace, and I think Chess Olympiads is a very good example of a peace, because there are so many teams, so many nations, and they're all coming together, and whether they're world champions and top elite grandmasters, or as Kasparov says, chess tourists, but everybody comes together and enjoys themselves. So
I would like to say a paraphrase to Mihail Tal, because Tal at some point said that the amateurs, and actually we are all amateurs, because there is we love what we do, but we are also dilettante, even the grandmasters. So if Kasparov named this tourist, Tal would say the same. We are all chess tourists, because
we're all chess tourists. And you remember I once showed on our program game Tal against Campomanes. Do you remember this?
Maybe
the Farrakhan from the Olympiad. Yeah,
yeah.
You showed something. Yes.
What a tourist, What a tourist.
By the way, 1982 was the rise of Campomanes.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Sasha, I want to thank you for.
Bravo!
Oh, wow! Sasha, I want to thank you for getting me.
She was doing this. Yes.
Sasha, I want to thank you for taking me on at Chess Stars and getting me to know the U.S. team during the 2016 Olympiad in Baku, where the players were actually listening to our broadcast, and I got to interact with them when the U.S. won. But I think the best days of the Olympiad were during the Cold War, when Bobby Fischer was a kid. I mean, we all know how he beat Bent Larson with the Yugoslav attack, and we all know about his game against Budvik, because the Olympiads in Chester every 2 years. Varna 1962, a very famous draw. But 1960, as Suat mentioned in the preliminaries, Bobby at 13 lost to an unknown from Ecuador because he didn't centralize his queen. And Bobby never allowed his queen to be beaten for centralization after that game, after he lost to Munoz, when Munoz was black in a dragon.
Yeah, those are a lot of things that we are going to discuss in our next programs. And I would like to thank you very, very much for participating today. It was fantastic. Thanks to all. And goodbye to everybody.
Fascinating. Thank you guys for telling me about Alyukin, how he really died. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.